Baby, I'm your man.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Cheers. It's your boy Robbie Miles at Miles of Horror. I got a fun review for you guys today. But before we do anything, hope you guys are having a wonderful holiday season. If you guys could hit that like button, please subscribe to my channel. I would appreciate it. Thank you all who have already subscribed and are hitting those like buttons. I appreciate you guys. I'm feeling the love, and I so appreciate all of you guys that have been hanging out, watching my videos and all that good stuff. It means the world. And what I mentioned in my last video is that the more videos I make, the more I understand just how important those likes are, because they help your videos get shared. So I know I'm a new channel, I'm doing my thing, but if you guys could hit that like button, I would appreciate it. Thank you to all you guys that have already done it. It means the world. And go give me a follow on Instagram. I do a lot of posting on there, etc. So anyway, let's get right into it. So I've got a fun review for you guys. So we got this beautiful edition from Scream Factory. Shocker, no more Mr. Nice Guy. No more Mr. Nice Guy. I think that's how the song goes. But we got this slipcover edition from Scream Factory. It is a 4K edition. Now, this is the first time I've owned this movie on physical media. I'd never seen this movie before, and I'll tell you why. Okay, I'll tell you why this movie. I overlooked this movie. At least what the reason I think I overlooked this movie. And maybe it is more an overlooked movie in general. Guys, this movie came out in 1989. Okay, it's a Wes Craven movie. Yes, the same guy who did Nightmare on Elm Street. Yes, same guy who did Scream. It came out in 1989, and I did some research before I hopped on here in regard to that year and the movies that came out that year, the horror movies that came out in 1989, and I was blown away at the titles that came out in 89. I could not believe it, just banger after banger after banger. Now, this is something I like to do on my videos. Like, let's go deep dive into that year of horror when I talk about a movie. Guys, this year, 1989 for horror, I'm gonna give you this list in just a second. I couldn't believe the titles that came out in 89. You ready for this? Let me go through it. Okay. So 1989, this is just a small list of movies. Okay. I'm sure there are others that I'm missing, but listen to these movies that came out in 1989. Okay. In addition to Shocker. Okay. So you had 976 Evil, you had Beyond Dream's Door, Beyond the Door 3, Beware Children at Play, which if you have not seen, is an awesome movie. I love that movie. Vinegar Syndrome did a really cool addition to that. You have The Cellar, you have Chud 2, you have The Church, Curse 2, Don't Panic, Elves, Flesh Eating Mothers, The Fly 2, Freak Show, Jason Takes Manhattan, Grave Robbers, Halloween 5 Revenge of Michael Myers, Intruder, it's not even close to ending. Monster High, A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child, Offerings, Pet Cemetery, Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge, Puppet Master. You have Puppet Master came out in 89. You have Shocker. You have Silent Night, Deadly Night 3, which is a complete piece of shit, piece of garbage. I hate that movie. Sorry if you're a fan of it. I think it's so boring and horrible. That movie could have been 8 minutes long. You have Skinned Alive, Sleepaway Camp 3, Society, Stepfather 2, Toxic Avenger 2 and 3, The Vineyard with James Hong. You have the original Warlock. You have Witch Story. Guys, this year for horror was outrageous. It was insane. I can't even fathom a year where like these things were coming out in the theaters, and it's like, I'm gonna go see this. I'm gonna go see this. I'm gonna go see this. And like this is like tape store era at its peak. And so I'm just blown away. So Shocker came out in 1989, guys. So I'm not surprised that I'd never seen this movie, because there are so many other bangers from that year that I have seen, and this movie just kind of passed me by. And I get that it's Wes Craven, and I probably should have seen it. So that's my fault. But yeah, I just never did. I never saw it. And so I picked up, this is a blind buy for me. I picked it up from Scream Factory, slipcover edition. I pre-ordered it before it came out, so I got all the extras and stuff. Now let me talk to you guys about what I liked about this movie, what I didn't like about this movie. I'll tell you this. Overall, this was not my cup of tea. Okay. Not that there weren't parts about it that I didn't like, because I did. Okay. There were parts that I liked, but there was a lot more that I didn't like about it, that, or at least there were parts that completely outshadowed and overweighed my likes on this movie, and that kind of was reason enough for me to kind of think this was a stinker. But it wasn't all stinker. There's a lot to really like about this release, and I'm glad I picked it up. And I'm glad I cataloged it because I didn't own it in any other format. But anyway, so after being captured for a series of gruesome murders, Horace Pinker, a TV repairman, faces execution by the electric chair. And you saw Horace Pinker in that trailer there. And so that's the basic premise of the movie. Now, there were some things that I really liked. Okay, so first and foremost, Horace Pinker, the guy who plays, Mitch Pileggi, okay, the guy who plays Horace Pinker, who is the murderer in this movie, he rules. Okay, he was awesome. And his acting in this movie, as well as the acting overall in general, was fantastic. Okay, that was one of the things I loved the most about this movie. Everyone, it was very over the top and very fictional in so many ways, but the actors made it believable. Okay, and so I really appreciated that they this wasn't seen as a it was self-aware, but the actors played their parts as if this was an Oscar movie. Like they really took this as a serious role, and they did a phenomenal job. And it all starts with Mitch Pileggi as Horace Pinker. He was just badass, guys. I mean, they picked the right person for this role. He was just wild as the murderer, and so he was over the top in a lot of ways, but it was just great. I thought he was excellent. His smile, the bald look, he was great. He was very badass. So yeah, all the acting, right? So you have Michael Murphy, Peter Berg, Cammy Cooper was fantastic. Her big scene was awesome. Mitch Pileggi, who played Horace Pinker. There was even a Heather Langenkamp cameo, if I'm not mistaken, which was kind of cool. But the acting was fantastic, so I really enjoyed that aspect of the movie. It really, if it wasn't for that, I think this movie would have been even a bigger stinker for me. But so the acting was great. Okay. Also, right from the start, literally immediately in the title scene, the title credits, the 4K restoration on this and the transfer was phenomenal. Okay. You're gonna notice right from the start that this thing looks gorgeous. Okay. It was just the right amount of just the right amount of grain in the right scenes. The sound was fantastic. The lighting was fantastic. The color grading was excellent. The blues and whites specifically for me during the lightning scenes was magnificent. Okay, it really popped for me and on my TV, and it made the experience really enjoyable to watch. Okay, it was visually very pleasing. I love that aspect of it. The soundtrack was excellent. Right from the start, you had this heavy metal kind of grungy tune to the movie, and it really sets the tone. Unfortunately, it just fizzles, and that was kind of one of my biggest problems with the movie. Again, I love the soundtrack. I love the acting. I thought it was visually pleasing. Scream Factory, you guys did a great job with this restoration and transfer. But that's about where it stops for me in terms of what I liked about it. The story was cool, and I think the intention was awesome, and what they tried to do is really cool. And I thought the first kind of 35, 40 minutes of it was banging. Like the whole, and again, it's going to be mostly spoiler free, but this movie is 36 years old. So if you haven't seen it, I'm sorry. I'm not going to give away the ending. I'm not going to say what happens, but it's going to be mostly spoiler free, but I'm going to talk about some plot points. The first 35, 40 minutes of this movie were banging. Like when he's out, when Horace Pinker's kind of out there doing his thing before he gets caught, it was super cool, guys. Even after he gets caught and some of the electricity stuff starts happening, I really enjoyed it. But basically what happens is, and again, if you have not seen this when you really don't want to hear this, you can look away. But this is not, again, this is like stuff you see in the trailer. It's not a major twist or turn, anything I'm giving away. Horace Pinker, for whatever reason, when he gets executed, he gets electrocution kind of like builds within him. And he has the ability to kind of like use the electricity to kind of transfer through bodies and take people over. And that as a concept was very cool to me. And I like that, but they just overdid it. It was so repetitive. The last 45 minutes of the movie was just extremely overdone, extremely repetitive. The movie, quite frankly, was entirely way too long, in my opinion. Horace Pinker, he's traveling through these bodies for a very long period of time, and it's just too much. It's very outdrawn. They kill that concept into the ground. And I'm not saying there aren't some cool scenes where like you kind of like twists and turns, but it just they beat that concept into the ground way more than they needed to, and that to me was I just didn't love that. I got it. I get it. Like, let's move on. Let's end the movie before we ruin it. And they didn't. They ruined it. And that to me was upsetting, but it's okay. Again, I like the idea of it, but in execution, it didn't hit as hard for me. I think the universe that Craven set up was a little too distasteful, right, for my liking. It sets up all these rules and norms that were cool. Okay, and it takes a long time to set these things up. Like Horace Pinker's abilities and what he can and can't do, but it doesn't really stick to those. Like it goes off on different ways that the movie hasn't really defined. And it's like, well, how can you do this now? Or how can this happen now? It's a little too much for me. And I'm again, it's not that it's bad. It just didn't hit for me as much as I would have hoped. Didn't hit for me as much as the first 35, 40 minutes did, because Horace Pinker is established as this completely badass murderer that fucking slaps, dude. Like, he was awesome. And then it goes off into this fictional world, which I didn't dislike, but it just overdoes it. They just they try and do too much, and they don't stick to what was working in the movie. And it's like, well, I want more of what was working. I want more of that. Um, and then the ending, I'm not going to spoil it, but it was just too outrageous for me. The payoff was not sound enough for me. I would have liked, quite frankly, a more sinister ending. I thought that would have been cool. I didn't dislike it. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't what I wanted, and it didn't kind of align with the rest of the movie for me. Um, so yeah. So shocker on 4K, guys. This was kind of a stinker for me. It didn't really shock me. I wish we had more of Horace Pinker before he did the electrocution stuff, or maybe if they changed the way they did some of the electrocution stuff, it just was a little over the top for me for a movie that was pretty serious for a little while, and they had set up all these awesome norms, and it just didn't follow through on those norms. Anyway, I have not watched any of the extras yet. I just haven't had time. There is this was a new restoration from the original camera negative, so that's a really cool thing. And again, listen, I don't own this on any other format, so you're gonna be a new restoration. It's gonna for a movie that is it's pretty popular. I think a lot of people like this movie. I'd never seen. I'm all for that, guys. I'm not unhappy I bought this movie. I'm glad I cataloged it in 4K. I don't need like a big box edition. This is perfect. I don't need it in any other capacity. And again, a new restoration. That's cool stuff. So thank you, Scream Factory. I think the last time this movie was on physical media was that Blu-ray that Scream Factory put out. It's a number of years ago. So kudos to them for doing that. There's a new interview with composer William Goldstein. I did not watch that. New interview with actor Peter Berg. I'd like to check that out. And then a new interview with production designer Cynthia Charette. The rest is all legacy features. You got some commentaries, interview with Mitch Pileggi. Now, I haven't seen any of this stuff, so I would like to go back and watch them. Maybe that would help me like the movie even more. Um, but again, guys, it was okay. I'm glad I watched it. It was definitely worth watching. But overall, it kind of fell flat for me. Not my cup of tea. Not one of my favorites. But listen, I recommend this if you don't own this movie in any format. I recommend getting this edition. It is definitely worth cataloging for sure. Now I know Screen Factory did that Blu-ray, but again, if you don't have it, definitely check this 4K out. It's definitely worth buying. I believe the slipcovers are still in stock. Great addition to the collection, no matter how you slice it. And sometimes blind buys is cool like that. And believe me, I've done way worse with blind buys than this movie. I watched it and it was fine. I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. It was a little flat for me. So yeah, there you have it, guys. No more Mr. Nice Guy, Wes Craven Shocker on 4K from the fine folks over at Scream Factory. Hit me up in the comments, guys. Let me know if you've watched this one or if you've seen this movie in the past or if you got this edition. What do you think? Have you seen this movie before? Is this a movie you love? Are you a big fan of Shocker? Or are you like me where it just kind of fell flat? Because if not, it wasn't really my vibe. Um, the second half was not really my vibe. So yeah, that's what I got for you guys. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Hope you guys are having a wonderful holiday season. I got a couple more videos shooting. Oh, hey, balloons. I got a couple more videos this week. One with my buddy Jordan. We're talking our best drops of the year, all that good stuff. And hope you guys hang out. All right. So hit that like button. Please subscribe to my channel, and I will catch you guys later.